Morning all, welcome to my channel. My name's Dawn, I'm the Reclusive Crafter, and today is Quickfire Friday, and I am going to attempt to make a little Alice in Wonderland dress, but I want to turn it into a paperclip. So let's get started. How are we all doing? Are we all good? Just to let you know, I've got, sorry, I should have said, this is a 6 by 6 inch square, okay, which is 15 centimetres by 15 centimetres, and it is in blue because Alice's dress is blue. It is cardstock, so it's going to be quite a chunky little piece, and I'm going to make a start by folding it in half and finding my bone folder. Now, apologies if I'm not very talkative in today's video, but I keep forgetting how to do this, so I'm having to concentrate a little bit. So you fold it in half, and then you fold one side up to the centre line. Just going to find my centre line before I crease it down. Okay, so you fold one half up to the centre line. Not sure if this cardstock might be a bit too thick actually. And give it a good burnish. And then get your other side and fold that up to the centre line also. I'm hoping this does work because this is the only blue I've got. So, and being as though Alice's dress is blue, I need it to work. So fold that up to the centre as well and give that a burnish. Okay, so now you've got 3 lines there, and it's just the centre with those 2 like that. So now open that up, fold it over, and what you want to do is this line here, which is at the quarter way mark, you want to now fold that and bring that fold up to the centre line. Are you with me so far, folks? And give that a jolly good burnish too. Okay, and then you want to do exactly the same on the other side. So fold your fold up and bring it over to the centre line so that they marry up in the middle. Now that is a very same fold that we did with the magic box that we made with the flying cards. Okay, so it's virtually exactly the same fold to start with, and I do find a lot of origami things are pretty similar actually, with a few different tweaks. Okay, so I'm okay with that. All right, now what we want to do is we want to fold it over, and we want to bring the bottom up to the top, but leave about, well, just under a centimetre gap. Okay, now it's going to start getting a little bit hefty here. Hefty, of course, being my technical term for the day. And then we want to, again, where that is, we want to fold that back on itself by just under the half a centimetre. Doesn't have to be exact, but just so that you've got those creases there. Okay, and I'm giving that a right good smudging down. Okay, so what you've got is you've got your little box piece here, and you've got that going on there. Okay, and you want the shorter piece of the 2 at the top. Then you want to turn it over, and you want to bring this little piece here down into the centre and give it a crease so that you've got that little triangular bit there. Okay, and then we want to do the same again with that side. All right, Again, we want to give that a little bit of a crease there. Okay, then open them back up, and that's just to give you a guideline. All right, now you want to pull this section, so this bit here, can you see this? So this bit here, you want to open that up and pull that down, but you want to pull this over at the same time, so that you end up with, and this bit is a little bit awkward, so you end up with that triangle going there, and then if you pull that down and push that in at the same time, hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. All right, pull that down and pull that across, so that you end up with two little triangles there and that flat piece. I hope you were able to see how I did that. Let me just fold that back up and show you again how I did that, because that's probably the fiddliest bit of this. Let me just pull my sleeves up. Getting serious now, folks. Okay, so you've got your fold like this. You've folded these two bits in just to give you those guidelines. And now you want to take this piece here. Okay, you want to bring that down, but as you're bringing that down, you want to push this bit across. Okay, and then you want to do the same with this bit. So bring that down and fold that piece across, so that you end up with that triangle there. You've got two triangles there, and you've got a flat piece going on there. Okay, and give it a good burnish. So that's that bit done. All right, then what you want to do is you want to fold it over. Now this is the front, okay, and you want to get hold of this bit here, which is by the center line, and just bring that up slightly. Just going to turn that around so I can do this. Bring that up slightly, so that it just gives you a little flare on the dress. Okay, and then give that a crease down. All right, so now what you've got is that piece just flaring out just slightly, and then you want to do the same again on this side. This is a lot more awkward than if you were just using paper. I'm just going to measure this, because I just want to make sure it's about 1 centimetre. I just want to make sure that these are relatively even, only because it's going into the journal, and I want it to be about the same. All right, and then fold that up, and again, because this is card, this is a little bit more difficult to work with, but I'm hoping all will be well. There we go. Okay, so now what we've got is, as you can see, we're getting the shape of the dress in here. All right, so that's that piece, and now we're going to turn this over again. So we're now on the back section of the dress, and these sections here, we are going to fold those over at the top, but we're going to allow this section to come down like so. Let me just bring that in there. So you want this whole section to fold over, and then this section wants to fold down, so that you come to the point at the edge of the dress there. Okay, and again, give that a good old squidgeroony. All right, then do the same this side. You bring it over, so you're bringing the whole section over, but before you crease it down, you want to allow that to naturally fall, so that this bit comes down onto that corner there, and just coax it into place. If you're using a thicker piece of paper than just paper. So if you're using a cardstock, just coax it into place. Okay, so now your back section is now looking like that. All right, if we turn that up that way, which is the way of the dress, that's what your back section now looks like, and that's what your front section looks like. All right, so we're very nearly done on the dress, and now we want to bring this piece. I tend to go down to here and just fold that piece out like so, and then do the same with this side and fold that piece out like that. All right, so those two sections have come out at the point of the fold there, coming up to that point of the fold there. Okay, and then if you fold it over, or rather if you turn it over, there is your little dress. All right, so that's the dress made. However, this is Alice in Wonderland. What I now want to do is I want to make the apron. Okay, so we're now going to make the apron, so I'm just going to prep myself for that, so I'll be back in 2 secs. Okay, so we've got the dress, and now we're going to do the little apron that goes on top, and the apron only wants to be 5 inches by 5 inches, which is, where are we? It equates to 12.7 square if you're doing it in centimetres. Okay, now with this one again, I'm doing this one in white because the apron that she wears is white. Fold your piece of paper in half, simple simples, and then bring the bottom up to the centre. So again, we're starting in the very similar way. Give that a little crease, but this time we're folding this section back on itself to about the midpoint of that section there. All right, so that comes back on itself. So you're actually dividing that section into 3. Okay, and try and keep it as close to straight as you can. Turn it round, and now do exactly the same with this side. So you're bringing the bottom up to the centre, creasing it in, and then you're bringing this back on itself again by about halfway, so it gives you a 3rd fold on that section of the paper. Okay, so now what you've ended up with is that design there. All right, so you've got that. Now we're going to turn that over, and we're going to fold this corner in up to that mark there. So where this fold is here, you want to bring this corner in to there and bring it straight down like so. Let me just find the bone folder. And this piece, I am only doing this with ordinary print paper. This is it's 100 GSM, just so you're aware. And then we're going to do exactly the same for this side. So we're bringing this corner in, and again just to that edge there, if you can see that, and we're just bringing that in and bringing that again straight down. All right, so now you've got that, and now we want to open those up, and we want to bring this piece, if I can grab it, we want to bring this piece down and just tuck those little bits in there, and we want to bring them in line with that there. All right, and just crease that down, and then do exactly the same this side, bringing it in line with that piece there, like so. Okay, so that's that bit there. Now ideally you don't want the paper coming over there. I'm going to trim that off in a minute. I've obviously not done that fold absolutely accurately, which is why I've ended up with that little overhang there. Let me just see if I can rectify that. So if I bring that down there, I maybe did that crease a little bit too big there. Let me see if I can rectify that. And then bring that in there. That's better. There we go. Got there. All right. So those creases are quite crucial really as to where you get them. You need to make sure that you're not hanging over. If you do, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I'm still hanging over there a little bit. You can just trim that off at the end, and I'll show you how to do that. All right. And now what we want to do is we want to fold that up like so, and just bring it back on itself again to give us that little waist section. That was the bit I was looking for. Just fold that in back on itself to give us the waist section. And I've literally just folded that up by about half a centimetre, would you say that is? Maybe not even as much as that. Quarter of an inch, and it is about half a centimetre. Okay, so we've now got that going on. Okay. And this bit doesn't take so long. So now we're going to bring this section out just slightly to make the flare. And we're going to do the same on this side, bringing this bit out slightly and making the flare. And you can make that as wide as you want to, as long as you're not going over, obviously overextending it and tearing the paper. All right. Just going to crease those in like that. So we've now got that, and now we're going to turn that over, and we're going to bring the whole of this lot over level with this section here. All right, so that's going to come over like that, and we're just going to fold that in there and crease that down there. And I'm going to do the same with this side, bringing the whole of that section in line with this. And again, just creasing that down. All right. And then there is your apron. Now, as I say, I'm just going to trim that little section up there because I don't want that bit to show. Okay. So I've just cheated and just trim that little section off because, like I say, I don't really want that piece to be on show. I want a nice clean line there. All right, so that's your little apron, and now we're going to pop the apron onto the dress. Okay, so that's actually, if you marry up the sides there, okay, as you can see, that does come over slightly, and you can fold those over if you want to. All right. So I'm going to stick that on, and then I am going to decorate it. So where's my glue? Haven't used my glue yet today. So I'm going to pop some glue across there. And then I'm going to pop this down on there. Just hold it in place for a minute. Make sure you've got it obviously where you want it, so that you're happy with the positioning of it. Just hold it in place just while it takes. Okay. And now what I want to do is I just want to take those bits over, and I want to bring this bit over here. Okay, so that's that piece. And again, I'm just going to trim these up just so they're nice and square. Oops. Just trim that up so that it's level. Okay, and I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on there just to hold it down. And I'm going to pop a little bit of glue on that side just to hold that down as well. Like so. And again, pop a little bit of glue on the back there. And just a tiny little dot of glue there just to hold that down as well. Okay, and that is the look that you end up with. Now then, I might just redo this because I haven't centralised that very well, and that will drive me mad. So yeah, I'm just wondering if I can centralise that, or maybe I can bring that. No, I can't. Okay, so that's the principle. I'm probably going to remake this one. I'm going to use this one as a prototype and put this in my ideas journal, because those two triangles are not perfect and I would like them to be perfect. All right, but what I'm also going to do now is I'm going to just back this, because this is going to be a paper clip. I don't want all this mess here to show, so I'm actually going to stick that on there, and then I'm going to cut round it. And then I'm going to put the paper clip on. Okay. So again, I'm literally just running some glue around. I want to just get this stuck down so that it's nice and tidy on the back. All right. So I'm going to pop that down there. Lots of glue oozing out. That's okay, because we're going to trim round it anyway. Just want to get that down there. Okay. And now I'm going to trim round it. So I'm going to take this bit of card off. And we're going to trim. And trimming should be relatively easy, because it's a pretty basic shape. But what it will do is it will give me a nice neat back. So there's the dress and there's the apron. All right, and all I've done is I've trimmed the back, not very well, not very tidily, but I've trimmed the back just to make that nice and tidy. All right, and now we're going to put our paper clip on. So all I'm doing for the paper clip is I'm using a piece of, let me get these bits out of the way. I am using a piece of the card that the dress is made out of and folding that over. Like so. And I'm just going to trim that up because it doesn't need to be quite as big as that. And I really don't want it more than 1.25 inches maximum, 3 centimetres. Okay, so 1.25 inches to 3 centimetres. I'm going to trim that up like so. I'm going to glue this together to give it a bit more stability. I'm going to put my safety pin. It's not a safety pin, it's a paper clip. I'm going to put my paper clip on there. Like so. And now I'm going to glue this onto the back of the dress. And we're going to pop that there. Now you could do this if you want to as an invisible paper clip, And if you did that, you could actually decorate the back of the dress as well. I'm not doing that. I'm literally just going with the individual. All right, and then what you can do is you can get your book out, and then that will slip over like so onto the page. Okay, so you've got your little dress paper clip like that. Cute, isn't it? I really like that. So that's the prototype. That's what I'm going to be putting into my Alice journal, but I pulled that up too high. I will be doing another one. I'm just going to use this one as my prototype, and I'm going to make another one for the actual journal and just tidy it all up and make it look very pretty. And I'll come back and I'll show you that when I finish. And so there we have the finished paperclip. So I think this is probably where it's going to live, although I haven't completely made my mind up yet. We've got little Alice sitting in the tree here, and we've got her dress here. Now, I did go with a slightly paler blue and a darker ribbon, but obviously when you're doing these for your journals, you can do whatever colours you want to. I think in hindsight, maybe I'd like to have gone with a dark colour, but I've actually run out of the really dark colour that I had, and I had this sort of baby blue, which I thought was nice anyway. I think it's in keeping with the storyline. And I did the back slightly different. Instead of cutting it in the shape of the V there, I allowed it to go all the way square off to the top. So that gives the impression that it is actually the back of the dress rather than the V-neck. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I put a little bit of doily under the apron area. I've backed it with a little bit of ribbon. So we've got a little bit of ribbon going around the waist there. And I've, instead of putting the bow on the back, because with that, once it's on the page, you're not actually going to see the back of it, I've popped the little bow on the front with, I don't know if you can see that shape, but it's a tiny little heart-shaped diamante-ish thing. So that's it. So that's the little paper clip for today. I hope you like it, and I'll see you all again tomorrow for Stash Busting Saturday. So I look forward to seeing you all then. Take care. Bye, everybody.